Hi guys, I'm David Disponett with the Disponett Experience, where I get the chance to talk to cool and exciting people that I want to talk to about, well, whatever they're doing in their life. But today we have Collins Youngblood, and he is the owner of LeanFeast. And I'm going to let you talk a little bit about it, man, because I love your food. I love what you guys are doing, but I really want to know the journey that it took to get to where you're at. You know.
Absolutely. Thank you, David, for having me, and
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for providing the black coffee.
Gotta have the coffee. I'm all amped up right now.
That's right. So yeah, David. So I'm from Richmond, Virginia. Definitely didn't have the best childhood. Growing up as a kid, but thankfully I had my grandparents to help me out. And when I moved into their house when I was about 5 years old, that's when. In Midlothian, Virginia. That's when kind of the childhood trauma decided to dissipate and fade out of my life. But and I'll go into more depth with that later. But when it comes to coming here from Lexington, Kentucky, I've actually
Where to start, right?
Yeah, where to start. That's actually good. I actually was a sales engineer in Columbus, Ohio, okay. And so I would actually travel through Lexington to get to Nashville for some of my sales calls. So I've actually been to Lexington, but I didn't know anybody when I moved here. So it was kind of a leap of faith when I came here.
Were you still doing the engineering job when you moved here originally? Or the sales job?
No. So we'll actually, where we should start, David, is...
you tell me.
We'll start when LeanFeast kind of came across my lap.
Okay.
So back in August of 2020, and I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but
stick with us, guys.
When a good friend of mine actually brought LeanFeast to like literally brought it to my attention, and I had four pillars that I live off of.
Okay.
And that's how I kind of knew if he was going to be a good fit for partner or if I was going to have to go on my own. And so for my four pillars is faith, family, friends, wisdom, knowledge, and community. And those are my non-negotiables that I make an opportunity or a decision off of. And so when we were going through the process, the first thing was I was trying to find a mission statement to really just lean on, and if any kind of adversity or trials or tribulations coming my way, I can always go back to that mission. And on August the 5th of 2020, the mission was placed on my heart, and it was be the light in the community of Lexington.
Okay.
And from that, I don't have any restaurant experience, so I knew this was going to be a hurdle and a milestone to climb.
But you felt strongly about starting this business.
100%. I was so fed up with corporate America. I was an engineer. I've been working as an engineer since I was 21, so 9 years or 8 years essentially. And I just was tired of just the corporate BS. I'm just going to put it to you straight. And right when I had the opportunity in terms of seeing if this was actually going to work with the business loans and business plans and all of that, I kind of just said, you know what? We're very slow right now with our projects, and I'm working from home thanks to COVID, so let's just go for it. And so I decided to go to the bank. I went to different banks to get loans.
So why LeanFeast? Because, I mean, you pretty much bought a franchise, and, of course, you get to put your own spin on it and kind of build your own brand around at least your branches of that,
right,
which is great. But I'm sure LeanFeast is not the only option far as meal prepping or healthy food goes. So what was it about LeanFeast that you're like, this is the company I want to be behind or I want to work with?
It was the first company that actually, you actually weighed your protein cooked versus doing it behind the scenes and giving people macros and then...
You think that happens a lot?
More so than
really
I would like to say.
Like I've talked to Jack about it, and they said they do it. They also do. They weigh their food cooked. Good. But you're saying a lot of companies don't.
I will say
your experience.
In my experience as a bodybuilder for over 7 years, I've had some companies. That's it.
It's 8 ounces, but now it's like 5 once it's cooked down.
Or it's 3 ounces, but they promise 30 grams of protein.
Okay. So you really like the business model and their brand aligned with your pillars.
Yeah, and it was the first brick and mortar. I mean, it's like where is this? Like we have Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King. Why hasn't there like through all of my sales engineering experience and going to gas stations for a one bar or rotisserie chicken at Walmart, this was like the first brick and mortar place to where I could go in and just get some chicken and rice or chicken, rice, and a vegetable, pop it in the microwave, and then I'm on my way. And so I love the convenient factor for one. I love the fact that people now can come in and see their food cooked from an open concept kitchen.
Right.
And then three, I'm weighing the protein out in front of you.
I think your scale's broken. I think you guys are secretly, you've got one of those special scales. I see 6 ounces, but it's really giving me. No.
I will say this. I sleep better at night doing this job than I would if I ran a company behind the scenes.
Well, there's also something to be said about working for yourself and being able to push your own, ideology, your own thought process through a business, right? So like you couldn't do that when you're working for corporate America.
No.
You gotta follow their rules. Well, now you get to make your own rules up, and if you want to be compassionate and kind and loving and you want to show those, you can do that with your business. Like no one's going to tell you otherwise.
And it's been actually pretty interesting. Like even my wife said this the other day. She was like, Collins, you give people a place to just be themselves in the restaurant. They tell you about their hang-ups. They tell you on their struggles. They tell you if someone is hurt or sick in the hospital, they want you to pray for them or what. I mean, It's like you've given them a place, almost like coffee time.
Right.
You can come in there, grab a cup of Joe, talk for 2 hours, and they're not going to say anything to you. I wanted kind of like almost like a place, almost like it's community.
Right.
To where I know, like, I remember that person's name. Like when David comes in, I know he's going to want a ton of chicken thigh.
Yep.
Better have chicken thigh ready.
I don't even buy anything else. I probably should try some of your other food, but I got stuck on the chicken thigh.
But it's remembering people's names,
right.
remembering people's stories, remembering people what they're battling with or what their successes are. And it's really showcasing that. And I don't feel like there's anything like that. Like when I go to Chick-fil-A, they're not asking me, hey, I remember you were battling with this. Hey, how's that going? When I go to Starbucks coffee, they're not remembering my name.
Right.
I want to create something so unique, so different that when it comes to like any kind of restaurant, regardless, I know that owner actually cares.
Right.
I know he's just not in it for the money. Because I can tell transactional business from a mile away. And don't get me wrong. I thank the Lord for putting me into a homeless shelter before bringing me to LeanFeast. Because if it wasn't for me getting my pride wrecked and for my heart being crushed when it comes to serving others above yourself, I wouldn't be able to be here with LeanFeast.
So what do you think built your kind of pillars of success? I mean, because we really haven't, you kind of went through a dark time, right? We talked, in our little pre-interview, we talked about some of the shit that you went through in and right after high school and in through your 20s and kind of put you in a bad place. You weren't happy. Looking back, you're not happy with the way that things went then. I think you talked about you were a pretty heavy drinker at one point in time. You don't drink anymore.
I want to bring up my father because that's a big picture that gets me pretty.
If we can do that, Mr. Keenan. He's gonna pull.
And then I also want to bring up my mom holding me.
Okay. Because you said your parents really weren't involved in your life growing up.
They were not.
My grandparents were.
So my father died when I was 9 months old.
Okay.
Apparently, my mom told me that she brought me. My father was driving on an expired license. And he ended up getting some jail time for about a month. And I remember that time my mom told me that she
there he is.
brought me in the jail to visit my father. And so when I was a kid, I don't remember that obviously, but my mom told me that. And then in October, my father got shot with his buddy James.
How old were you at the time?
I was 9 months old.
Okay, so thankfully you don't remember any of this. As crappy as it is that he's not in your life.
Correct.
You didn't have to feel the pain of losing him.
Correct. But that void is and for those who are listening, for those who ever lost a father at such a young age, that void is so empty. And
I couldn't imagine. I have such a great relationship with my dad. just thinking of like the day that they're not going to be here anymore, because that's going to happen probably before I die.
Yep.
Whew, it's
extremely heavy.
It is.
I mean, it is, and we hear about fatherhood wounds. Like and it's in my book. I talk about all of the vices that people get into when you have a fatherhood wound. But I was so mad at the world. I was mad at God. I was mad at everybody that I didn't get to throw a football with my father. I didn't get that baseball father experience. I didn't get to kick the soccer ball. Why is a 62-year-old taking care of me, and why isn't my father present in my life? And so this picture just represents, my mom holding me up. I got a smile on my face, but I know for a fact my mom deep down inside is dead, because that was the love of her life.
Right.
That picture represents my mom at least having what Carlos gave her, which was a son.
Right.
And so now I'm basically living out Carlos's legacy. But I got to give all the credit to my grandfather. My grandfather was a just man. He was a man that served this country.
You said he taught you a lot of good life lessons. He instilled good values in you.
The best values that any man could ever give a son.
And I guess a positive way to look at this is knowing what little I know about your dad, what we talked about, you may have not gotten those values if he had been... Like, it's almost not a blessing in disguise, but not the worst path you probably could have taken, because you had someone in your life that was pushing you in the right direction, giving you the right tools, from what I've gathered from talking to you. And having your dad involved, if he had been around, that could have gotten in the way of things, and you could have gone down a whole nother path. And granted, it could have gone a million different directions. Yeah,
statistically, it would have been drugs, alcohol, a gang.
Right.
Back in Richmond, Virginia, if my father was still alive. And then, my grandfather being a mechanical engineer with basically a PhD, a professional.
Is this your dad's parents or
your mom's parents?
Your mom's parents. Okay.
Yeah, my dad's parents are in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And I don't really have a close relationship with them. I do have a close relationship with my Jamar, who actually works for the mayor of Atlanta.
Okay.
So I still talk with him kind of kosher, but not as much.
Okay.
And he was actually my dad's, I guess, little brother.
Little brother, okay.
So, yeah, me and Jamar still talk from time to time.
So, but not having a mother and father, having your grandparents raise you really kind of sculpted you in a certain way. And I know you also had told me, back in going into high school, you were a little out of weight, and you kind of getting into sports at that point in time.
So I grew up playing soccer. Thanks to my grandparents could afford,
right,
taking me around Virginia and whatnot, and travel league soccer, which was always good. So I always had that perseverance. I think that's the first lesson my grandparents taught me is, when you fall down, you get back up. And that lesson's obviously true if it was from 8 years old to now.
Right.
But the second was really I'm going to go back. The first lesson of faith, my grandfather was a man of faith. He trusted in God, and he actually walked it out. I haven't seen a lot of people do that. He was quick to get angry, slow to speak. He always surveyed the room if things were chaotic. He always surveyed the room. He showed my grandmother what love truly looks like. He was patient. He was kind. He was considerate. I mean, someone could punch him and he would turn the other cheek. He was not that type of man, but I think from...
When did you realize that? At one point in time in your life, did you like, oh my God, these... because the things my parents tried to teach me, that was probably till I was 2 years into the military, a year into the military, when I was like, oh.
Honestly, you want my honest opinion? Yeah. Reflection when I was 29, when I hit rock bottom.
Okay. But
I think it was when I really when I was 30,000 feet up, going to my grandfather's funeral, because I flew from Kentucky. He died February the 19th of 2021, and I opened the restaurant on February the 7th of 2021. So not only is my father dead,
right,
but now the dad and my father that I emulated and I looked up to has passed away before I'm starting a business.
Right.
And
I'm
I
sure
didn't.
he was
I didn't.
super supportive of you getting it off the ground, though.
You know, it was so funny actually going back in September of 2020 when I had to when I was talking to Community Trust Bank. I'll never forget. I called my grandfather and I said, "Pop, I really feel like I have to sell my truck." And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Why the H would you want to sell your truck?" And I said, "Pop, because my debt to income needs to be perfect for this loan to be approved, and it's a sacrifice." And so I found they're giving me exactly what I owe on my truck, so I can get a car that's under $20,000 with only 16,000 miles on it. And I actually found a Kia Optima, 2016, for 17,000 with only 16,000 miles on it.
Oh, nice.
And it actually was perfect because now I deliver. But can you imagine if I had my truck and the gas and how gas went through the roof? You see what I mean? So like when my grandfather didn't understand about like the sacrifices you have to do to get your business off the ground, that's where my grandfather and I couldn't get there because my grandfather always worked for somebody. He always had a paycheck. He always, was secure in his PE with his engineering degree and then his Navy background.
Right.
With me, this was sacrificial. This was everything that I've done to this point was giving up self and putting other people or things in front to make this work. And so, now that you see LeanFeast up and running, it's great. But man, I love that truck. Like I worked my tail off to get to that F-150. Like I worked my tail off to have that truck. And when the bank said your debt to income needs to be a little better, basically like $20,000 better, all right, I'll sell my truck.
Right. Well, and that's life. Sometimes you got to take a risk, and you got to put up sacrifices. But if you don't do it, you can't succeed.
I think the reason why my grandfather had a hard time with just accepting the business was my grandfather was so proud of me when I walked across the West Virginia stage at WVU for engineering when I graduated with above a 3.0. I feel like he put kind of his self in me, almost like idolatry,
right.
where parents
because he was an engineer as well.
Right. So like me being a third generation or second generation engineer in the family was something that he was proud of. And so when I walked away from like the best job that any mechanical engineer could have at Marathon Petroleum, great salary, good 401k, pension, like everything's good. Well, I have literally life at the balls. I have everything that I've ever wanted at 29.
But you also feel like you had nothing.
But I was empty.
Yeah, well, that's what you were.
Empty. I mean, I had rental properties. I had fame, fortune. I mean, I had everything. But I was so empty inside. And so, like, communicating that with my grandfather with his heart condition was just kind of an overload. And I didn't know how to really communicate that with him. I could communicate that with my grandmother because she didn't have high blood pressure and stress and all that. But some of the things I brought to my grandfather made him overwhelmed. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what is going on? Why? Like, what does he see in Lexington that I don't see?" And I think a lot of people have that problem is seeing your vision without the vision even being adopted yet.
Right. Well, it's your vision.
Exactly.
So it's on you to try to give somebody else that vision. And if they can't link up or they just can't get past that until they actually see it happening, which unfortunately he didn't get a chance to, they can't see the full vision.
Right. Or they can't be like proud or that's, I think that's the biggest is when I
Do you think he was worried about you when you decided
He was. He thought he was worried for failure.
Well,
he was worried that I was taking $250,000 and just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna start a restaurant and see you later." I think a lot of people were concerned. A lot of people were like, "Man, this guy's crazy."
You got to take a risk.
And I will say that it was crazy doing a restaurant during COVID, but it was worth it, and I wouldn't have changed it for the world because I put my life on hold, and I literally now I'm just serving this community, and it was all worth it.
I know that was a big part of filling some of that emptiness void was finding a way to give back or help people or
100%
add value to people's lives, which you really technically probably weren't adding a lot of value to people's lives at your current job.
I was adding value only to my life.
Right. And for some people, I mean, like me as a personal trainer, there's just something to be said about helping somebody out, giving you some fulfillment in life.
Right.
I absolutely love it. And I wouldn't, yeah. I don't think I'll ever have a job that doesn't give back somehow to people, because money's great, but money's not everything in this world, at least for me.
I remember being fat in middle school and just feeling the weight of looking around. Like, why don't I look like that? Or why don't I feel like they do? And a lot of that suppression from my childhood trauma into middle school is the reason why I was overweight. And now that I'm able to give back to the schools, it's like basically you faced your fear, you found freedom after going through that fear, and now you're able to help others who maybe are suffering
Right.
in that same stage of life that you were, or season that you were in. And so now with LCA, Trinity, Frederick Douglass, and the list goes on.
I mean, didn't you just get like another
Literally 30 minutes.
While you were sitting here for the setup of this?
Literally, yes, LCA's now elementary campus wants to work with me. And
Right.
that's where I get true fulfillment. And I always say this, if someone came to me and wanted to buy the business for $1 million, I would happily decline. Because money doesn't sustain me at all. I've had a lot of money.
You just need enough to get by.
I just need what I have right now, which is my beautiful wife, my friends that support me, my wisdom and education, those who are pouring into me, and this community. And that's it. And that doesn't take money. Because I know what money looks like, and I know how much money fades away. It comes and goes like a blowing in the wind. That is not what sustains me in life. It's when I wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to be a light to someone this morning.
Right.
I'm going to serve this person regardless on what I got in my personal life. I'm going to go out of my way for this person because I know this person right now needs me. I'm going to help David anywhere I can. If I get a partnership with Fayette County Public Schools, hey, David, they need a personal trainer. Can you help them out, please?
Right.
That's more meaningful when everybody else can enjoy the fruits of your labor than for you just to enjoy your own fruit.
Oh, 100%. Well, at least if you have that mindset. You know, what's the old saying? Surround yourself with good people.
Like-minded individuals.
Like-minded individuals, which I 100% believe. It's hard cutting out some of those people because they've been in your life for so long. But I have definitely been more successful with once I changed some of the people I hung out with, things I did. Because even you, I mean, give me a different perspective on something.
Well, let's go. Let's pull up this picture of me having a bottle of Grey Goose in my hand. No, not Grey Goose.
Yeah, I guess we really haven't talked about the heavy drinking in your 20s, which was a mess for you. But I mean,
disaster.
But it helped you get to where you're at today.
It did, so I can give shade for other people who may need it. For other people climbing up that mountain.
There we go. That's it right there.
And did you notice the studs in my ear?
Takes a stud to wear a stud.
That's right. I like that. I like that. So I still talk to my buddy Jared Zuccari. But this represents right here just how much flash and how empty I looked. From the stud earrings to the Gucci watch.
You feel pretty full when you're drunk enough, though.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Until you wake up the next day.
You do. You do. Temporarily.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But for me, it actually set me back. And I felt like since I've been...
you let alcohol take over, right? I mean, you were like a serious alcoholic for many years. And were you doing that while you were bodybuilding and competing?
No. So I actually, after so I don't know how I did it, but I had this cutthroat mentality to where if I'm all in with something, you ain't pulling me off
right.
it. Like with this business, my goal for this business is to serve over 1 million people. I will serve over 1 million people before I'm dead.
Okay. So, how far out would you stop drinking when you're prepping, right? Because I'm guessing you would drink throughout the year, but then it's like, oh, shit, we hit this point. I got to... Because I'm guessing you were drinking and still bodybuilding at the same time. It's just like when you were getting ready for a show. I'm guessing you had to cut the alcohol out.
I did. My coach, because we were going into the show from a natural standpoint.
Right.
So he told me, look, Collins, with your body, you got to stop. And it also it deteriorates your muscles. I mean,
you
talk
next 36 hours.
You talk to any professional like Logan Franklin or Ronnie Coleman or any of those guys, they're going to tell you like, look, we don't drink when we're in competition mode. And even those guys aren't really heavy drinkers because, you know, their heart and their health and everything that they're monitoring.
A lot of those guys are also doing steroids, so like the alcohol is not going to help to go along with those steroids with the heart and everything. Yeah.
Correct. So for me, it was more of, you know, like, I mean, it was a journey.
Yeah.
Like, I'm addicted to the process. I'm not addicted to, okay, great. That's 59 seconds of fame right there, what you're standing of. You literally get on stage for about 30 seconds, you pose, and then that's it. And I'm like, well, I just got, I think about 4% body fat there.
Okay.
Shredded.
Oh, yeah, you're shredded.
But that man right there is empty.
Right.
Like, and you couldn't tell, you know, from the appearance, the look, man. I mean, he looks great. Dead inside. And you never even knew it. That's how scary life is you can be talking to people, you can be working out with people, and you have no idea that they're wanting to take their life or they're suicidal or they're holding all of this. I actually heard an analogy yesterday that I got to share. It's like taking out the trash. You never see the trash person come to your door and grab the trash from you. You're always having to go outside and put the trash in the trash can.
Right.
And taking it out. But what a lot of people do is they wait. They suppress. And that trash never gets emptied. They're putting more trash and more trash, and to the point where suppression eventually just kills you. And that's what it was. This was my escape right here.
Man, your fucking back looks amazing, man. Holy shit.
This was my escape from reality. This was my, almost like my medicine.
Right.
You know, but after that wore off, man, I wanted to drink again. I wanted to, you know, party and go chase girls and do stuff that was empty. I mean, that it looks good on the outside, but it's empty on the inside. I'm just gonna be.
So you felt like a very fake person, or
really
looking back, you probably didn't feel fake at the time, but looking back, you're like,
well,
you hit a point where you're like, man, this is such a fake life for me.
Right, like, and you know, I kind of what we were talking about, you know, the whole influencer, Instagram. Like, I had a big following. I mean, I was meeting right people. I was gonna do Christian Guzman's show and some shows in Texas, and then I was gonna go get my pro card in Chicago or Pittsburgh, and I was getting in that influential world. But I'm like, man, this is going against my personality.
So
like,
what made you stop doing it? Because I mean, you haven't bodybuilt in quite a few years now. Like, what point did you like? I'm not doing this anymore.
Probably the relationship that I had in Columbus. I was dating a girl that was an alcoholic, and I hope she turns her life around. But I was just so unhappy in that relationship in Columbus to where I basically was looking for other jobs, and the one job that I found was in Ashland, Kentucky, which I'm so grateful for, and I actually met my wife there in 2019, which was not my wife at the time, but
were you working at the oil plant down there?
Marathon Petroleum.
Yeah.
I was like in the
Catlettsburg a million times.
Catlettsburg Refinery. That's on that tri-state area.
It's lit up like a motherfucker. When
That's
you go
right.
there.
That's right. And you know, I wanted to get away from Columbus. I, you know, once again burned some relationships. Being drunk, you know, speaking about people's kids and saying I'm a better father than you, and it's just things that I regret, that I've apologized, and I've had to really
you probably still feel guilty though.
I do, I do, because it's so childish.
Yeah,
it was just out of line.
You're like embarrassed.
Telling somebody that I'm a better father raising your kids than you are when you're blacked out drunk is just uncalled for.
Yeah,
I'm grateful that I actually did that, because now I can tell people, hey, look, be careful on what comes out of your mouth when you're drunk. And it's funny, what's laying in the heart eventually flows out. And every time I was drunk, I said things that I shouldn't have said. But it was those things that I was holding on to inside. To either females, to men, to adults. I mean, just ridiculous stuff. But it was all what I was holding on to inside, and it all was basically escaping from reality.
So how long have you been sober now? Do you have an app that actually keeps up with?
So yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm gonna
whatever it takes to.
May 31st, 2020
was the last time you had.
Well, actually, it was May 29th of 2020. I was at a party. I'll never forget this. I'm about to go to California. I've signed my contract with Warner Brothers. If you want to pull that up, you can.
By the way, he was almost. I mean, you were one of the contestants for The Bachelorette.
I was like 35. So there's 40 contestants for The Bachelorette that they took.
Right.
5 of them got cut immediately, and then I was like the last one, like teeter-tottering, and they cut me Saturday morning before filming that. I guess they call it the limo.
Right.
The beginning of the rose ceremony or whatever. I don't even.
But you made it to like pretty much the final cut, like
we
before you
were,
would have been on TV.
We were filming Wednesday. We were filming Thursday. Filming Friday. Green screen was Friday. Thursday was my interview, kind of like this, but it was a lot different. And then Saturday they let me go.
Bastards.
It's okay.
That's pretty cool though that you actually made it. That you got to that point. I don't know anybody that's actually.
So I'll never forget this. On Saturday when they let me go, and this is in my in the book called "The Brokenness Inside of a Man." I kind of remember getting on my knees and kind of just saying, why am I out here and whatnot. But 12 o'clock, I heard that I needed to go to Richmond for some reason. So I called up my producer and said, hey, I really feel like I need to go to Richmond. I told you Huntington, West Virginia, but I need to go back to Richmond. And I my heart was tugging towards Richmond for some reason. And at about 1 o'clock, I went outside just to get some fresh air. And I remember this kid who was a towel boy who was on this little like go-kart, stopped and was like, hey man, you need anything? I was like, no, I'm just chilling outside. I was like, hey, everything going all right in your life? And I signed a contract saying that I can't talk to anybody.
Right.
Except my producers or, Claire or whoever the guy that hosted, I forgot his name. But I just remember having a really in-depth, hardcore conversation about life with that kid. And I always tell him, if he's ever listening or if he's ever comes across my path or hears my name, I want him to say that he's changed my life.
Right.
For the better. He told me kind of what he was going through, and I'm going to keep his story, private. But, that conversation after we kind of shook hands and kind of teared together, I do believe that was kind of the reason why I was out there.
Really? Okay.
And
was that a turning point for you? Or beginning of a turning point?
I was going to say really May 30th of 2020
when you stopped.
When I got on my hands and knees and I said, Lord, just take away this urge of alcohol.
Right.
It just.
Did you fight that urge when you were right before competitions and stuff? Like, was it a fight?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah, so it wasn't like it was forcibly disciplined to stay away from it. It wasn't like you were just like, all right, just not going to do this for 6 months while I get ready for this competition.
No, it was every day. Every day it was always in my head.
And you just wanted that competition in bodybuilding more than you wanted the alcohol.
Correct. If I had something sustaining me, like a competition or like a real estate opportunity or something, I could suppress it.
That would take the focus away. Or
exactly. Yeah. But it's been, I was going to say.
Do you still crave alcohol now?
No. I'm 956 days sober.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
And I have saved $14,340.
Wow. That's a lot of money. What are you going to do, high roller?
Put it back into my business.
Smart decision.
No, it is.
So what's the process like getting the business off the ground? I know we talked briefly talked about it, but I mean, finding a location, getting the loan.
It was all effortlessly. I'm going to be honest. The minute I walked into Community Trust Bank, Christy Gross was the vice president of the bank at the time, and she wanted to hear my business plan. And she basically...
Was it hard putting one together?
No, actually, LeanFeast helped me out. They already had all that.
Oh, that's
They already
nice.
had all the
Did you
business
have to go
plan.
through an interview with them so that you fit whatever values and brand that they
Yes.
feel like they need you to fit with inside that
Yep.
box?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so when I was going through the SBA loan process, it was long, but I remember putting on my resume that I was a bartender / server at the Alumni Center in West Virginia, because I remember going back to school for one semester
Okay.
in the fall. I was able to watch football, get football tickets, but I was taking the heat transfer was my engineering class that I had to take to finish my degree for December of 2012. And it worked. They approved me for 7 years and 6 months for an SBA loan. And I'll never forget just the milestone of getting approved for a business loan, taking the steps that I did, taking the sacrifice I did, selling all my real estate. I had 3 rental properties and a primary home. I had to sell all that before.
So you just
my
got a
loan.
loan for part of what you needed then?
No, I got a loan for everything.
Okay.
I did. I had what they call a net worth. They do like a debt to income ratio
Right.
on you, and it spits out your net worth of what you had and all your assets and then your liabilities. And luckily, I didn't have college debt. My grandfather paid in full $100,000 of college debt for me. So, if it wasn't for my grandfather's love or sacrifice, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Right. Well, you might be. It just might be a different story.
It's true. I'd probably still be working for the system.
Yeah. And not yourself.
Right.
Not over here smiling ear to ear.
That's right. So but man, it was so scary. It was so scary coming to a city that you're not even from.
But you've been through here a couple times, right?
Been through here. I'm familiar with UK basketball, a little bit of UK football because of West Virginia.
Just say go Cats or you're in trouble.
Go Cats. But I look, and actually we this hasn't been announced yet, but we have kind of signed our next player that we want to invest in, Dion. He's a freshman at UK.
Okay.
He came in 2 days ago, and I want to support his journey. He wants to lose some weight before the summer, and so we're going to invest in him and help him out and support him and support his journey. And his goal is to go to the NFL and within 3 years, and I know he can do it.
Okay.
And so, it's things like that. When a guy comes to me, not really asking, he doesn't want money. He just loves the food because Will Levis told him how good the food was and how that has helped him. And I don't care about selling meals. I care about investing in people.
Right.
That's my number one goal, is to invest in people, invest in this community. Like I said from the very beginning. And as long as I have enough money to keep operating, pay my guys a good wage, take care of my family in a reasonable way, I'm as rich as I can be internally.
Right. And at the end of the day, that's the most important part, is if you're happy with who you are and what you are and feel fulfilled, you're doing better than the average person probably.
That's right.
Because I think a lot of people will feel that emptiness their whole life because they're too scared to get out of their day-to-day routine and change it up. There's a female that I worked with at a PT clinic. I worked there for about a year, and she'd been being a PT for I think 15, 17 years. Nice lady, but I can tell that she is completely burnt out, worn out with her job, and she can be kind of mean, rude, not compassionate whatsoever, out to get people sometimes. But I don't really blame her in a way, because I feel like she needs what she needs to do. Is she has no happiness in her life. I feel like when I communicate with her, she seems unhappy, sad, maybe even a little angry, and she's living with that day in and day out. And man, I just wish I could just walk up to her and be like,
Some people just need a hug. I'm serious.
yeah. Well, she tried to get me fired like twice over really, really small things that my manager came to me and was like, so this went to the district manager. I apologize. This went to the district manager. this should have just gone straight to me. I don't know why why people went over my head to complain about you. But anyways, I think what she just needs a new job. Like I think she could stay in PT, but I think she needs to go work for somebody else. But she's so stuck in that rut. She probably feels trapped.
Let's pull up a picture of me and my wife.
Okay. Oh yeah, the wedding one. Yeah.
Actually, we just wanted pictures. We have actually had like an actual wedding.
When'd you do those?
It was right around April of 2021. We got married quick.
Well, when you guys are ready for updated pictures, I got you.
Yes, absolutely.
I know how to take a picture.
That was actually cool because Justice, who worked over at Fabletics, actually did this for literally free, and I gave her money because I felt so bad. But so that symbolizes a true happiness. My wife behind the scenes helps me tremendously. Always affirms me. Always, honey, keep going. Honey, I don't know where you're getting the strength, but I'm proud of you. Those small, I call them golden nuggets, sustain me day in and day out. And if it wasn't for my wife, once again, it would be hard to do this job alone than to have someone like her when she knows I'm tired, she knows I'm exhausted.
The right partner is so important. It's important. Even if it's a friend, it's your girlfriend, your wife, close friend. Like having someone there, doing things by yourself in life, just breeds loneliness and unhappiness. At least in my situation, if I didn't have people to hang out with and be there for me, like life would be shitty. Man.
And my wife was a dental hygienist, and she was just slaving away to the system. Her wrist would hurt.
She works with you now, right? You guys do the business together.
Now she kind of takes care of payroll, and we got this snack wall. So don't touch her snack wall. I mean, tell you, she is a stickler with that snack wall, and then she'll get that behind the counter and starve. And
is the snack wall where all the protein bars are?
That's right.
They're so expensive, but you have those brownies. Whatever those brownies are, I get them every time. They're like $4, but damn, they're so good.
Yeah, we're actually I'm lowering the price on some of my items, and I'm actually not doing a price increase this year,
which is kind of surprising because everything seems to be going up, not down. And let's be honest, protein bars are just expensive wherever you go. I mean, just to buy them at cost at Kroger or Sam's Club, you're still paying $2 or $3 a bar.
Right.
So I know you're not making much profit off.
And I don't push snacks. I want to really sustain on my food. I want to stay sane on not only the food but the consistency of the food.
Yeah.
So my steak, the chicken.
Are you picky about the protein bars that you guys put on that wall? Have you done research, or you just kind of grab the popular protein bars and let people kind of go from? Because you have 30 different types of protein bars, man.
I don't really weigh on snacks. I really focus on
it's the food. So what advice would you give for people maybe listening that do feel that loneliness or don't feel connected or feel like they need to make a change in their life, that's going through the shit that you went through similar?
Yeah, so I would have to say journaling helped me out a lot in the beginning.
Really? Just writing?
Just writing, just getting my feelings out.
This is something you did before, or is that something you started with at some point in time?
One of the pastors that I talked to before I went out to California, he gave me that advice, journaling. And he also, crazy, I actually have a video that I'll have to send you. It's about 20 minutes long to where I just opened up when I was out in California, the Bachelorette. I just opened up how I was feeling. I mean, you got to look at it. They sent me out there.
Do you think part of it's just being honest with yourself? Accepting where you're at?
Well, it's stop being in denial. Because you even said one thing you said was, people don't even realize they're coming off aggressive, or maybe their motive is jealousy or envy or greed. And so because they've been living with it, that's the part of their personality now, and that's who they are. And they don't. Another guy that comes into the sauna, I love the guy to death, but he's angry. He literally lives with so much frustration and anger in his body, it exudes from him. Do you know why?
Huh?
Do you know why?
Yeah. He's. I think one of the reasons is he doesn't like his job. COVID killed his nice, cushy. I don't know if it was a cushy job, but the job that he liked, COVID killed it. So he had to go get a job that he doesn't like. He has a wife that, when I mean alcoholic, like we were in there the other day, and he walked out because they come in the sauna, they do 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out, and she was sitting in there, and we were talking, and finally she's admitted to being an alcoholic. So when I first met them, I think she tried to like hide it, but now she's accepted that she's an alcoholic, and he hates that he is constantly spending. She'll do whatever it takes to get alcohol. She'll steal money from him. They're married, they got kids, and so like I guess they had a good day. I don't know what happened, but he walked out, and we're talking about like I try to give people advice in the sauna without giving people advice. So I started this whole reflection thing, and I was asking everybody, what's one thing you would change in your life, and like trying to get people to bring out, because a lot of the same people come in. But long story short, she was like all excited because she's like, yeah, I'm getting a 40 tonight. And she was so excited about getting a 40-ounce thing of alcohol or beer or whatever. Like she just lit up, and I'm like, oh my God, like I never want to have that kind of reaction to something like that. But he also lives with a lot of pain. So he has some ankle issues, and so he just lets anger and pain just rule him, and he does. And so like when he comes in there, he's just so angry about everything, so aggressive.
I always say the weak man is a man that is controlled by emotions. The strong man is allowing decisions to dictate his,
Right.
So we have a weak man that is controlled by feelings.
I 100% agree with that.
And fear, right? And then you have decisions, or being bold boldness is a choice. Choosing faith over fear is the strong man.
Right.
And fear, or letting fear control you, is the weak man.
Yeah.
And so there's always two crossroads, right? You can choose fear, or you can choose faith. You can choose being angry, or you can say, you know what, I'm not going to allow anger to control me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to allow these, my wife being an alcoholic. You can't control that. You can cut her off, but you can't control her making the choices for her. But you can control your mood. You can control your mood. You don't have to allow anger to control your entire life. And that's the problem.
He allows that emotion of pain and anger,
or jealousy, or whatever it is,
or discomfort for his life, his day-to-day life. Like, it literally seems like his day-to-day life is miserable.
I found this the other day. Nick Bear was actually talking about this, and he said, choose the hard right over the easy wrong. It's easy to get angry. It's easy to play the victim card. It is hard to say, you know what? Not today.
Yeah.
I'm going to help at least one person out. I'm going to be the encourager, not the discourager. I'm not going to allow my poor decisions or choices that I've made in the past control me anymore. Like if I'm around toxic people, I'm out. Stop allowing your piss poor choices dictate how I feel. So no, I'm going to choose just to ignore that. Now, if they come to me and say, hey, Collins, I need some help. I'm going through X, Y, Z. Can you pray for me? Or whatever the case is. I'm going to listen. But then I'm going to encourage. I'm not going to say, yeah, that sucks. Right. That sucks for you. I'm going to keep bringing the mood down.
Yeah, you just move it up a little bit. You get a little far away from it, and it gets a little echoey.
I'm all passionate in this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. You've been on like 100 podcasts. You should know this by now. Gotta keep the mic somewhat close.
I've not been on a lot of podcasts, but I will say this though, for those who have either struggled with alcohol or struggle with this, is that the first step of any kind of program when it comes to addiction is being in denial. You have to
just accepting
that you are making a poor decision.
Yeah.
Okay. Drinking for the weekend or living for the weekend is not what is successful. Okay, that's not what people are doing. Okay, any entrepreneur, any business person that I've said, they've basically given up their living for the weekend type deal. It's delayed gratification. Okay, if I don't drink today, how can I be as valuable for tomorrow? Well, I'm not going to wake up with a hangover. I'm not going to be. I'm going to be sober-minded. And God bless if someone needs my help in need, I'm not drunk.
Right.
And I do it for somebody else who needs it. So for whoever's listening to this podcast, or for people that are out there that come into my store, hey man, I heard you're an alcoholic. How'd you get over it? Now I get to help someone. Now I get to walk through the dark valley with someone.
And you've got nutrition tied into it. which is even
and
better.
that's just a cherry on top. Because it's so funny when I came here. You know what the statistics are for Kentucky? We're the number 3 trending 4 obese state in the
I do
country.
know that. Yeah, it's
with Tennessee.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And actually, we're number 1 when it comes to kids that are 16 and younger. Which
It's ridiculous.
just
That is
hurts my heart. Hurts my heart. And so there's a lot of growth here, but for Jack Nutrition or Balanced Brew or for anything, hey guys, we have a lot of work to do here. So let's get to work.
Right.
Let's help. Let's come together. Let's see where we can all fit into schools and whatnot.
And the great thing is, I feel like all the other companies similar. I mean, yours is a little bit different business model than Jack Nutrition or was it Blue?
Balanced Blue.
Balanced Blue. That's it. You have a little bit different business structure, and I've talked to the Balanced Blue people a couple times, but everyone seems to be like they would all go, like, I feel like all 3 companies would get together and help somebody out if they could, or help. I don't feel like you guys are competing in a negative way towards each other.
Well, and my intel, like my business clientele, like Trifecta
Right.
goes for CrossFit athletes. And it's actually really funny because Justin, who's actually the second or the first world's strongest man, I guess, our company actually has endorsed him.
Okay, right.
So I guess I know he's sponsored with Trifecta, but he's like, and I don't know the whole ins and outs of it, but he loves our meals better than any other meal prep company out there.
Oh, Medeiros?
Justin Medeiros, that's right. But anyways, when it comes to this, I'm not focused on bodybuilding athletes. They want to use me. Hey, great, cool. I'm focused on general public. I'm focused on people that want to make a better decision than go to Chipotle. When I just found out that Chipotle's rice has over 600 milligrams of sodium, you shouldn't have more than 100 milligrams of sodium in rice. Like, you shouldn't be adding anything to rice to make it taste good, and then you should feel bloated after that. That's a problem in today's culture. That's a problem in today's society.
Of healthiness,
right? It's not. Mm-hmm. If only people would actually fact check what they're looking at.
They don't got time for it.
Well,
they've got TikTok to look at and Facebook and
Instagram and
there
chase
is
their likes
so
and
many
all that.
things to just distract you. I mean, it gets me all the time. I'll catch myself.
That's where I want to educate
right.
people that come into my store. Hey, I'm not against Chipotle every day. I'm not. But you're going to wonder why you're not losing weight. I'm not against Chick-fil-A on the weekends. I've eaten Chick-fil-A with my daughter. We have a little, father-daughter date.
Yeah, I do
Go
pizza
Chick-fil-A
once a week.
or Northline, having a donut. It's moderation.
Yes.
That is where I'm trying to get to. And if you want convenience and you want something healthy and consistent, hey, try me out Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday, and then Friday go out to your pizza night.
Right. And the great thing is you make it simple. Like you have protein, you have carbs, you have vegetables. Those are the 3 options. That's all you're getting. And every one of those, like, as far as your protein goes, it's legit protein. It's not like you're not adding you're not adding any shit to it other than a few spices to add a little flavor to it.
That's right.
It's all about how you cook it.
Yep.
And then far as your carbs, I mean, what do you got? Like quinoa, rice,
sweet
potatoes, and
red
the
potato.
roasted potatoes, right?
That's right.
That's it. Like, those are 4 very, very valuable carbs that you need, right? Those are good carbs that are going to, especially if you eat some of that an hour out before a workout, it's going to give you that energy you need. And then you got your vegetables, and you've got like 6 different vegetables,
Like 10.
10 different vegetables. But
And I'm trying to get my Brussels sprouts.
and they're not cooked.
Nope.
So you're getting clean, healthy, raw vegetables that are ready to be eaten.
And something that I've been learning about garlic would blow your mind. Like, there's over 14 health benefits for garlic, and I'm not going to go through all 14, but
I used to take garlic pills. I'm such a fan of garlic.
like immune system,
Yeah.
lowers cholesterol, and then just heart disease. I mean, it's insane.
Here's one that you probably don't even know. So if you live in an area that is highly dense with mosquitoes, do you know about this? Have you heard this?
I have.
So I used to play airsoft when I was younger, and we'd go out to this guy's airsoft field, and the mosquitoes were so thick. And someone told me, go buy garlic pills, start taking them. And it doesn't work for everybody, but that smell of garlic coming from your pores, you can't smell it, but they can. It will keep the mosquitoes don't want that because the garlic gets in your. I don't know if it gets in your bloodstream. I guess it gets in your bloodstream somehow, but the mosquitoes don't want to. They don't like garlic.
Correct.
And it worked for me. Like, you would see the swarm, and they would
Yeah.
They might land on me, but they were not sucking blood out of me.
So there's two partnerships that I have to definitely give all the credit to my wife. So the first partnership was Marksberry steak, going down and getting grass-fed steak.
Okay.
That's local. The second thing, my wife is really big on education as to why we're eating the foods that we're eating. So something that I am starting this year is, Something I am starting this year is just putting up small flyers as to why bell peppers are good for you.
Why are bell peppers good for me?
I know there's a lot of vitamins in there.
Oh, so you're going to do the research
so
on
I'm
the
going to do the research like I did for garlic.
Right.
Garlic was my first one
Okay.
because I was just like, hey, well, how many benefits are in garlic? But ACV, taking apple cider vinegar. I'm trying to bring in, when people come into the restaurant, I want to be more of a educational tool rather than just saying, here's your meal, I'll never see you again, or I hope to see you again. I want to bring in not only you're eating the food, but why are you eating this food and why is it healthy for you? So
People don't ask the why, they just eat.
Well, if you don't know,
They eat for taste.
If you don't know your why, then you don't have a direction in life. I read the book. Did Simon Sinek write it? What is your why? Or I forgot who it was. But knowing your why will give you your what, your how, your when, your where. And it always starts with your why. That's your motive. That's your direction. That's your driver, is your
Right.
why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you staying in that job that you're constantly miserable in? The best day.
People don't ask that question. That's the problem.
It's almost like when you buy a boat. The two best days when you buy a boat is when you buy it and you sell it. Okay. Well, if you're continually allowing yourself to stay in your mundane, miserable job,
Right.
then leave. And if it's money, then you're allowing money to control your motive.
But people will not take that leap of faith. They will not take that risk. They are like, I'd rather be unhappy and like comfortable, I guess, in a way, than be uncomfortable and have a chance at happiness.
So the road that you're taking right now, if this is what I did, is I did my pros and my cons. Okay. So me staying at Marathon drove my alcohol, drove me to make other piss poor decisions, drove me to buy things that I don't need, versus me not making nearly what I made at Marathon. A lot of people are being helped. Service is unbelievable. My family life, I'm married now.
You feel fulfilled.
I feel 100% fulfilled. So yeah, okay, I'm not making six figures over here, but boy, do I have 6 figures worth of fulfillment.
How do you get people from point A to point B, right? Because that's the problem. We've got a million motherfuckers on point A feeling that bullshit emptiness, and then, it's hard to get people.
Content.
And I guess people like me and you, that's maybe something that
It's just contempt. It's getting out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And the reason I actually was watching this YouTube video about comfort zone. Comfort kills. If you don't challenge yourself every day, I mean, this is nothing new, man. I mean, I don't want this to be a motivational podcast, but at the end of the day, if you don't get out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
your comfort zone actually gets smaller, which you're dying faster because stress is increasing. It doesn't matter if you're having a healthy diet. Your stress is going to kill you faster than your health will.
Well, and it hurts you. I mean, so I worked at Apple, and that was one of the things they were constantly bringing up is like, don't ever get comfortable here. Like if you're comfortable, then you've stopped learning, you've stopped excelling. You should always be a little bit out of your comfort zone. That's something Apple preached when I worked for them. Was like, if you feel comfortable when you come into work, like really comfortable, then you're not going to perform at the level you would if you're a little uncomfortable. And let's be honest, you put yourself in an uncomfortable position with a right motivated person, they're going to use that to their advantage.
There's a thing that I do in the morning at like 5:30. It's called F3. And I love going to that group because it's a bunch of like 40, 50-year-olds doing a workout for about 45 minutes. We're choosing the hard versus the easy wrong. We're getting up at 5:30 to meet, running outside in this cold weather. We're doing the uncomfortable, but after those days at 6:30 when I go back and I make my wife coffee or just sit and just collect my thoughts before the day starts or journal or kind of map out my morning, I am so much more productive in a sense to like mood, not constantly on edge, my decision making, slowing, not allowing the day to control me, but I control the day.
Yeah.
Versus when I sleep until about 8 o'clock.
You feel rushed when you get up and get the day started.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm not used to this, right? And so I always go back to when you choose the hard wrong. Yes, at first it's uncomfortable. I want to be empathetic to people.
Right.
It's uncomfortable. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but it's worth it because there's freedom on the other side.
It's just convincing people that.
Well, and guess what? This is the best thing. If you don't believe me, just do it. Try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try it one time. One time. And you're gonna be able to tell the difference. Why did this day go complete? Like,
right.
Why was this day good and incredible mentally and physically and emotionally, versus the day that you just keep doing? It's because this is getting out of your rut.
Mm-hmm. And I'll give you guys, for anybody out there that's listening to this and is in a rut, one thing that I've done some research on, and I haven't done it. I'm planning to do it maybe this year. You should look up a program called the Hard 75. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. I listened to the podcast about it, and I really like the structure of this program. It's free. It's very simple. It's 5 things. You've got to work out twice a day, yep. and one of those has to be outside. So it's like, it doesn't matter what the weather is unless it's life-threatening. Even if it's life-threatening and you don't go, you have to start back to 1. Right. You have to drink a gallon of water. You have to read 10 pages out of a book, an actual educational book, something that's going to give you value in life, not some like sci-fi or love story, like something that's going to like impact your life.
Take a picture of yourself.
You have to take a picture of yourself every day. Is that 5? Is that you got to work out twice a day, 45 minutes both times.
And if you're married, you should probably give your wife a compliment and notice her.
We'll add to it.
Right.
But for some people, maybe that they know they need to make a change, but they don't know how to do it. Find something structured that someone else has already built, that, something like the Hard 75, and follow that and see if that can get you into a position so you can start help make your own right decisions.
And when I moved here to Lexington, I didn't have a big army. I was a big fan of I still am, Trent Shelton. And I love what he says. We don't roll around with a big army, but we have a small army, but we make a big impact. Yeah. And I love that because I love those people.
Are Sparta.
That's right. Well, 300, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like that was the same exact concept, just in real
the mentality.
Yeah.
So I always love those people that only love you when you're succeeding, and I love those people from a distance. Yeah. And I truly invest in the ones that love you either you're failing, or you're just getting by, or you don't know how you're going to turn your lights on the next month, but they're still with you, right, through that, versus those that just come around when
it's good.
You got $100,000 in your business account. You're getting your house, you're getting your car, everything's going great, versus the people that are with you through the storm.
Yeah.
I want those type of people around me. I don't want the people that just want to take and not give.
Right. No, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Like, because you have those people, weathering the storm is going to be 10 times easier.
Right.
And you're probably going to come out better.
Right. And stronger.
And stronger.
And actually, you know what? You're actually doing something in them as well.
Yeah.
You don't realize that. But your struggle is also for them to see you get through it. And I always say that it's always easier to struggle with one person or another person than it is to struggle yourself. I wish someone would have came to me and saying, "Hey, Collins, I noticed that you're in a pretty bad place." And I didn't have one person. It took for me to hit my neighbor's truck drunk at 11 p.m. That I'll never forget that night when I drank to pass out. I'll never forget it. In March of 2020, I'll never forget it. But you know what? I'm actually glad that happened. Because in case someone is listening to this podcast or someone gets to that point, please just confess and understand that you have a problem.
And really, if you're in Lexington, go talk to Collins at LeanFeast.
Come, I'm an open book. I love sharing my failures.
Go buy some good food and have a conversation.
I love sharing my failures.
Yeah.
Because I do believe failures make you stronger. They don't make you
100%.
weaker. They do not make you weaker.
Mistakes, things, they do make you weaker if you don't analyze them and understand why, right? Because there's people out there, they're on their 5th DUI, so they're just not learning. They're just not going to get it, right? They just like, it's not happening. They're not growing up, not going to happen. But for those that can, be aware of that.
Self-reflection is
Yeah,
big.
it's huge.
I'm a really big on self-reflecting. Like, why did that person steal from me? Oh, it's because I gave them too much length in the rope.
Yeah.
They should have been tied in. Okay, note to self, not letting that happen again. Okay, hiring this guy. Great work ethic, great character, but he does not do well in culture. Okay, now I know I need to keep my culture. You know, I know who to bring in, who not to bring in. You know, I always say this. You know, I can tell about someone's character, I can tell about someone's work ethic, but I can't promise on how they're going to be in culture. I can't.
So I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch. We're getting to that time. So I'm going to ask you a couple quick questions because I really want to talk to you for like another 2 hours, but we'll just have to have you back on, I guess.
Part two.
Who's LeanFeast for?
The community.
Okay, so it's for anybody and everybody. Nobody specific.
Anybody and everybody. I serve
Love that.
kids. I got kids eat free on Thursdays. I got kids that are athletes.
Does
I
a
have,
36-year-old guy count as a kid?
unfortunately, 12 and under, buddy.
I can get an ID. Is it just if it's ID? I can get myself a fake ID to be young.
Man,
I need an ID that says I'm 12 years old.
there you go. You can pass for that.
I
with
need
your
some
beard.
free food. Okay. What would you say? What are the benefits of LeanFeast, and how does it help people?
Really, we've cut out the guesswork.
Okay.
For those who maybe want to get started, and I encourage those who want to meal prep on their own. I'm giving you guys, look, chicken, carb, veggie, like you can do this at your house. Like you don't always, if you maybe are going out of town and maybe need an idea or whatnot, like I'm an open book when it comes to this. It's great for those who maybe are doctors or nurses or business owners or whatnot that maybe are, you know, during this season, maybe having a hard time cooking or whatnot.
That's great. Well, sometimes I'm in between jobs and I need food and I'm like, all right, let me go get Arby's. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to pass LeanFeast on the way. I'll pop in and get myself a healthy meal.
But my ultimate goal is like, you know, giving people the tools that they need
Okay.
to succeed at their own house. Like I like to say I'm a safe place to land for those, but I want people to take off and
Right. You're going to get business either way.
Right.
But, yeah. What's the cost? So what are we looking at on average for like, you know, what do you, is it 3 or 4 ounces of meat that you start out
4
with?
ounces, $9.99.
Okay.
And then for steak, just because it's a little bit more, it's actually grass fed and it's local, $11.99.
Okay.
And if you buy 10, you get, it's basically $10 a meal.
So why do people want to come to you? What makes you different?
I think one is, I genuinely care about you.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to actually have a conversation with you instead of just kind of be an introvert. 2, I'm actually giving you, you know, what you ask for. So if you're asking for 4 ounces of chicken, I'm giving you 4 ounces of chicken. If you're asking for 4 ounces of carbs, I'm giving you 4 ounces of carbs. And I'm giving you actually what you ask for and what you pay for. And then, you know, 3, relationships, man. I love meeting new people. Like just one person I just met the other day.
I just walked into the store.
Right. I love meeting people. Like I genuinely love people.
Right.
And I think like my wife will say, you know, he's never met a stranger. That's just my personality, and that's my default. Is genuinely loving people, serving people, and caring for people.
And that bleeds through the business.
It's natural for me. I don't even have to try, and I do believe I'm operating in my true God-given purpose right now.
Well, I appreciate you, man. You know, I need that good food, so.
And then, you know, the last one, man, it really is, if anyone, you know, going back to, if anybody's struggling, man, please come in and talk to me. You don't have to buy a single meal. I don't care. I want to be there. I want to help you. I want to support where you are in your life, whether I can give you anything that I've maybe struggled with obesity or any vices that I've done. But, you know, ultimately, we're in this together. You know, I'm here in the community for a reason, and I want to kind of be salt and light for the community. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this. For anybody that's in Lexington or coming through for the podcast, you should go check out Collins at LeanFeast because, let's be honest, like, it's good-ass food and healthy. So, but again, Collins, I really appreciate you coming on. I know you got to get out of here. So, as always, guys, we'll catch you next time.